different person, different relationship, yet somehow the ending seems eerily familiar. Have you ever looked at your relationship history and thought, the people were different, the situations were different. So why do I keep ending up in the same painful place? Maybe you were accepting mixed signals longer than intended, or you lose your voice when a relationship really starts to matter, or perhaps you commit to people when you shouldn't, or the opposite. You run away when the relationship just starts to get good, or you just keep having that same conflict over and over again in your relationship. It's just a different situation. That does not automatically mean that you're broken, you're unlucky, or incapable of choosing well, or that external factors are to blame. I hear this often. There's no good ones out there, or great love is not possible, or it just takes too much work. What it means is that there may be a pattern at work that you are not clear about yet. By the end of this video, you are going to see one question that's going to help you separate a repeated pattern from your latest painful story. So when people say I keep making the same mistakes, they often focus on the last decision they made, the person they dated, the text that they said, the boundary that they did not set, which can be so painful and cause so much anxiety. The more useful question is not, why did this one person hurt me? It's, what is the familiar result that I keep finding myself in? For example, the repeated result might be, I always end up doing all the heavy lifting to make the relationship work, or I only speak up once I start to get really resentful in the relationship. Or as I said, I always seem to sabotage when the relationship starts to go really well. That result is the beginning of a relationship map. It's not a verdict about you. Many accomplished people find themselves deeply self-aware. They've often read many books. They may have done therapy or coaching. They've talked it through with their friends. They can often explain exactly what they should do differently. The uncertainty, however, kicks in, the closeness, the disappointment, or the conflict, and then an older protective response comes in, and it takes over before their wiser thinking has a chance to lead. And that's a pattern that occurs so often to all of us. So you may chase reassurance, you may go quiet, you may go cold, you may overfunction, you may decide, I don't need anything, I don't even need love, it's not important in my life. I've heard that one quite a bit. In fact, I've heard it a lot behind the armor of independence. And hey, I'm highly independent, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I thrive on independence. But it can also be a little bit of a cover, so you have to be careful about whether you are covering up something underneath it. The behavior is different from person to person, but the point is the same. Insight alone is not enough in the moment that truly matters. And that's why I feel it's so important to teach relationship intelligence. It's not about collecting more labels. It's about learning to recognize the sequence that keeps pulling you into the same outcome early enough to have a real choice to change things, to finally have that love life that you really desire. Let's just take a situation here. Imagine someone who tells herself that she's not going to accept inconsistency in a relationship again. But she meets someone who's super engaging, and one week the interest is really strong and she feels so great, she's on a high, but then it's distant the next. Sound a little bit familiar? I think most of us in our lives, if you're older, have had that at one point, and it's not easy. So at first, she starts to notice the discomfort, but instead of treating it as useful information and a potential red flag, she explains it away, as many of us have, because you just don't want to believe it, because that initial phase feels so good. It's that adrenaline rush. So then she starts working really hard in the relationship for clarity. And she then really starts to grab onto it, hoping things will change. By the time she truly admits to herself that the relationship is not going to meet her needs, she is emotionally exhausted. And again, does this sound at all familiar? The pattern was not simply choosing the wrong person. The pattern was what happened inside her when she first started to feel that uncertainty. I want you now to do a little exercise with me. Either write it down or just think about it in your head. I want you to complete this sentence. No matter who I'm with, I keep ending up blank. Do not make it about what's wrong with you. Make it very specific. I keep feeling confused about where I stand. No matter who I'm with, I keep becoming afraid to say what I need. No matter who I'm with, I keep staying after I know the relationship is not going to work out. That sentence gives you something real to understand and something to work with. Your past patterns do not need to become your future. The first step is learning to see what is actually happening, and that's when you can start to change things. On Wednesday, July 29th, I'm hosting a free live workshop called Why You Keep Hitting the Same Wall in Love. We'll look at why insight has not always created a different outcome, how to identify the pattern beneath your latest situation, and how to notice an early warning sign before that familiar loop kicks in. It's for singles and for couples, and everyone who registers is going to get the replay. And if you attend live, you're going to get a great free gift, my Relationship Prompt Vault, which is 170 great prompts for any AI LLM, so whether that's ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, across 15 categories to assist you. The link will be in the description. I hope to see you there.